Hi everyone, welcome to Wealth Commander, where self-value commands wealth channels. I'm Danu Savita, founder of Limitless Woman of Wealth. In this masterclass, I'll share with you the wealth creation mindset shift that transformed scarcity for me and cleared the distortion around my vision. And that is the power of self-value, where your energy is the most powerful currency on our planet. Above everything else, your vision is the emotional drive that fuels your entire life and business. But how do you achieve success when your vision is distorted? You may have asked yourself, how can I be the futuristic leader that I am? And how can I be the energetic strategist that I am when my purpose isn't clear? Self-value ensures that you're coming from a place of personal power. It really clears the runway to your vision so that you can fly with your highest destiny as the wealth commander. The 5D New World economy isn't coming to you, it is you when you shift your consciousness into an abundance reality as default. I specialize in 5D business structures where your vision is the source code. It's a creative business model, not a reactive one. You command the marketplace through a strategic vision to value Taurus flow, where vision is the energetic set point. We're creative in our starlight, not reactive in these old and dead 3D systems. And that's why so many previously successful 3D businesses are collapsing alongside these old paradigms, because the 3D business systems bypass the business energetics and the natural universal laws that override everything. Your self-value is the apex of a 5D business structure because it means detaching from all external validation and reconnecting to your original source codes to clear the vision. It really sets the tone for you as the wealth commander, broadcasting your vision to open up your wealth channels in the field of possibilities. 5D business structure means your business stops being a job that you manage and it really becomes a reality engine that you command. The benefit is sovereignty. No more chasing, no more proving, no more performing for external validation. Your revenue becomes a direct reflection of your frequency, not your effort. Again, because self-value opens the wealth channels and your capacity to receive. Your business is supposed to feel like an exhale, like freedom, not this feeling, this restricted feeling of a second mortgage on your soul burning you out. 5D business architecture means that your offers sell before you announce them. And this is because your clients come already converted. Your revenue scales while you sleep. And not because you're aligned, but because your energy signature is the product. Everything else is just delivery. Moving from concept to command is a psyche shift. We're upgrading from pure energetic thinking to doing, commanding, and executing. And this is where self-value really is the middleman between your thoughts and taking action, because self-value overrides the fear of external attachment and making moves where we're attached to the external outcomes. This masterclass shifts your brain's default from survival to creative and from scarcity to wealth and abundance, because in our businesses, we're creators, not consumers. In the 5D New World economy, we've reclaimed wealth as the default frequency. Okay, we're not making space for any other vibration in our field when we're projecting into our business brands. We're creating our own wealth as pioneers and trailblazers and disruptors, emitting a new vibe that supports one and all. And you know if this is for you. 5D business structures are for the greater good of all, not just the business owners or shareholders. So a business run solely for money by shareholders in a frequency that doesn't care for others will fail because the vision is limited and limited kills the vision. Whereas in the 5D New World economy, our 5D business structures are limitless and infinite. I spent years and six figures in the best coaching programs to start my own business as an entrepreneur. And while others around me were achieving their unique visions of success, I spent the time dismantling the blocks around my vision and wealth channels like the pioneering rebel in the back of the school classroom running my own protocol. We're going to look behind a huge veil of illusion today through my background in multidimensional psychology and 5D business structures, and I promise you it's going to be lethal. After all the dismantling I did, my brand vision is being the singularity where sovereign architects birth 5D wealth ecosystems. My mission is transmuting star-like consciousness into wealth architecture through 5D business structures, where vision is the source code. So what is source coded? Source coded means your original core essence, your core frequency before the 3D matrix conditioning that distorted our vision. You're the visionary coded, and there's no separation in the energy between you and your business. When you're this clear on your vision and you're that grounded in your energy, everything else falls into place, and you'll start to find that nothing in your life can really faze you, even the challenges, and it doesn't matter what life throws at you, because you're pure visionary, you're pure futuristic leadership, and you're pure command and execute, all in the present moment. So let's clear any static around your vision. This masterclass is designed to change the way you interact with yourself so that you can command a new reality with your source-coded vision. I've recorded this masterclass as audio only so you can focus on the pure transmission. And many of my clients are parents and busy people constantly on the go. So you can replay this masterclass over and over while you're doing whatever it is that you need to do. You're the boss of you, so you do things your way. I value your time as much as I value my own time. So let's jump in to the content of Wealth Commander and wealth. So just to put wealth into context as it pertains to this masterclass, wealth is often confused as solely meaning money, but wealth means an abundance of something that's valuable to you. So a wealth of, so it's an abundance of something that is of value to you. And for the sake of this masterclass, this wealth value pertains to self-value, being your energy and the level at which you command it as being sovereign, because self-value influences all of your wealth channels. And your wealth channels refer not just to money, but to your entire life, your business, your relationships, your time, location, connections, all money. Okay, they're all wealth channels. And relationships and business, or your job or your career, if you're transitioning, specifically linked to money. And they're the emphasis of this masterclass. Your energy signature sets the tone of your broadcast, signaling the quantum field. But whether this modulation is reacting to your reality or whether it's a pure tone command creating the reality depends on whether you are the wealth commander. So the distinction here, just to be clear, was reactive and creative. So reactive lives in the survival brain. This is the root of our fear and scarcity. So reactive lives in the survival brain, and creative lives in the starlight neocortex brain, which is the pure tone command center that moves with certainty and without hesitation. Certainty comes from trust, and that's trust initially, primarily that's rooted in yourself to make these big and bold and unapologetic moves in alignment with your vision. Zero hesitation, zero permissions asked, and zero fucks given. This is your vision, your mission, and you're trailblazing it your way, whether you realize it or not. You are creating the reality through every thought and emotion that surges through your field. But are you emitting self-sabotage or self-value to command the field in your life and business? Because the quantum field doesn't filter your commands. It just reflects them back to you as your reality, where you're co-creating with the universe. The universe reflects what you are and what you're being. And this is why you manifest what you're being and not what you ask for. There's a big difference in what you're being and what you're asking for, because manifestation comes through your energy, not through your words. So, is your brand represented by the wealth commander exactly in your sovereign crystalline frequency fueled by self-value? Or is there distortion in your field that's fracturing your reality fueled by self-sabotage? So, again, the contrasts here are self-value and self-sabotage. So we've got survival and creative, and we've got self-value and self-sabotage. We're working very much within contrasts here and duality. So in 5D wealth architecture, wealth is the sovereign baseline frequency. It's the starlight signature of your broadcast. Wealth is not something you have, it's something that you are. Okay, we must not separate ourselves from wealth. We are the wealth. The wealth is us. You're not separate to your wealth. Okay, so wealth is not something you have, it's something that you are. Wealth is your sovereign energy signature in abundance, and commander is your unwavering authority over it. Commander is the frequency of origin point authority. So you hold the first command over your wealth channels. You stop reacting to marketplace noise and you start transmitting your sovereign value as the baseline frequency. When we're this certain in our creations, we are ensuring that we're not making any space for anything other than our sovereign commands as the wealth commander. We're not making any space for hesitation. We're working through absolute certainty and completion in these very intentional commands that come from our core frequency. So commander is the architecture where self-value becomes the signal and wealth channels flow as the echo. And it's the moment that you stop asking for permission and stop waiting to be led and start giving the commands in your highest frequency of self-value to command your highest destiny. We're so specific, so intentional around what we want. And that's why clearing the field in your self-value is the key here, because when you crank up the volume to your self-value, the field clears to your vision and you're so sure and certain, and you move differently, you move with more intention. And anything that comes into your field that is not aligned with your frequency, you very quickly identify and clear, because you're when you get this clear in your vision, you are not messing around anymore. You're locked onto the vision, and nothing gets to distort that vision. You can track for your highest destiny and business vision all day long, and you can spend 6 figures on business coaching programs like I did. But if the field is distorted, if your psyche is fractured from 3D matrix conditioning and childhood trauma, then your vision also remains fractured and distorted. Your energy is precisely what commands your business brand, because in 5D business structures or wealth architecture, it's our level of self-value emitting through our broadcast that creates the need and commands the marketplace. And this is where we go first and the market responds. It's also our self-value that broadcasts our standards and boundaries, maintaining the quality of our relationships by way of what we're available for and what we're not available for. Okay, it's our energy that communicates to other people what we're available for and what we're not available for, where we set the boundaries by how we treat ourselves. Other people treat us how, in alignment with how we treat ourselves. And this includes what you stand for and what you don't stand for. So really here, you are the apex. You are the pulse of your entire existence, your entire experience, where your energy is setting the standard to everything in your life and business. How we treat ourselves sets the tone for how others treat us. And the energy we're emitting is the energy that is reflected back to us by the quantum field. The way we communicate and assert ourselves and lead ourselves is directly rooted in our self-value as the most powerful currency, because this includes self-love, self-respect, self-care. They're all linked. And later in this masterclass, we'll discuss that money comes to us through relationships. So self-value is directly linked to money and the way we interact with people around us. And this starts at home. So really, with our children, with our parents, siblings, partners, colleagues, friends, everybody, all the humans, all the people that come into our field, this is where the relationship skills start, and how we relate to others, and how we can also practice our relationship building skills. And it's the relationships at home that really are the best ones to learn from, because they're the most challenging, because we are not afraid to show our real frequency at home. And it's the people at home that will trigger us the most, the parents, the siblings, the partners. It's these people that we live with, that we're so close to, that will trigger us the most. So these are the best relationships to start with in learning and practicing your relationship building skills, and then take them further into the field. It's better to be practicing your relationship building skills at home and in public and in your life, than it is to be practicing in your business, live on social media or live with your clients. And this is great, because that means every single day, no matter whether you're just going to the shop to buy something or whether you're just out for a walk, out in public, converse with people consciously. Always practice your communication skills. Always practice being kind to people. Practice your regulating if somebody triggers you. Okay, so just use every day, use the experience to develop and grow all the time. So just going back to 5D business structures, they're energetically balanced, and this means that they're mirroring the yin-yang creation of the universe. So 5D business structures don't react to the marketplace, they create the marketplace. They're a reflection of the creative psyche beyond the psyche control prison. They don't look for gaps or white space. They magnetize dream clients through frequency match or energetic selling right from the vision, which is the first wave to wealth. This is why writing content and copy for your brand in your unique energy signature is the key to attracting your soul clients, so that you're only speaking to your dream buyers. My dream buyer is the sovereign visionary dismantling their 3D wealth cage right now. You're not seeking your vision in terms of being separate to it, and you know that you have a huge mission. You recognize and remember your own signature by clearing the distortion and clearing the static from your field. You're a duality master operating from triality, broadcasting from the void of creation, encoding your unique frequency into the quantum field in real time. You're already aligned in the Wealth Commander field. You're not searching for a program, you're remembering your own sovereign reflection. You're an entrepreneur, leader, or creator, outgrowing the 3D matrix and the 3D coaching industry, and feeling the fracture between your infinite version and your finite reality as it happens. You're ready to command, not attract. You're ready to remember that you are wealth and not chase it. You're ready to stop being the effect and start being the cause. Your energy is the most powerful currency on our planet, and this is because it emits your level of self-value as the default currency, commanding the field that creates your reality. So self-value is the baseline for your entire reality. When you think in value, you feel emotions related to value, and then you act and behave in alignment with that value. And then that has this knock-on effect. It leads to more increased value. And then that causes you to think in more value. And you're in this self-determination and self-actualization loop. But instead of riding this infinite wealth loop, we waste so much time and energy giving our power away to others through, these unhealthy attachments, whether that's in our life, in our relationships, in business, in the workplace. And these relationships extend to the relationship or connection we have with ourselves and our levels of self-value versus self-sabotage. In short, self-value expands our capacity to receive wealth in freedom, and self-sabotage repels it in scarcity. So self-value is expansive and stretches our capacity to receive, and self-sabotage is constricting in scarcity. So there's another duality there. So expansion and constriction. Self-value is expansive, self-sabotage is constrictive. When we give away our power to others because we lack self-value due to childhood trauma and generational trauma, we're so consumed with attaching to external sources for validation because we're disconnected from ourselves or from our source codes. Instead of valuing and authorizing ourselves in our uniqueness, we're still attached to hearing from others along the lines of, I see you and I hear you and I respect you and I like you and I love you. And we act out these inauthentic narratives to please others. We're living the lie and we lose touch with who we are. When you're in your zone of genius and nothing can fuck with your frequency, you're in the wealth commander. This original disconnection from ourselves remains because we're still chasing the parental attachment that should have strengthened our own connection to the self. Like a child reaching out for a ghost because the parents are trapped in their own generational trauma loop. So when I say, a child reaching out for a ghost, it's like the attachment, the bond, the relationship with the parent is vaporous. There's nothing to it for the child to attach to because the parents being disconnected from themselves are just not there. They're not present. So there's nothing for the child to attach to. It's vaporous. It's a ghost energy of the parent. The parent is not grounded. They're not solid. They're not present. There's nothing there for the child to anchor into. This disconnection is the root of our lack of self-value and confidence and courage. And this is all the trailblazer and pioneer ingredients for us to lead ourselves and go first. The higher your self-value levels go up, the lower your fear and scarcity levels go because you're no longer attached to the external outcomes and the consequences of following your, everything that invokes love and passion and excitement within you as the calling and the vision. Your power is personal and not circumstantial. When the vibration of the vision is this high and you crank up your emotional frequency response with it, you're in the creator zone, dropping wealth bombs because you see the value in everything, even the challenges. And it doesn't matter what happens, it doesn't matter what life throws at you, you know you'll be okay because I am wealth. So wealth comes to me always, always, because you're a frequency match fused with intention, and that's entanglement in the quantum field. When you're living in your highest vibration, even when you're faced with the biggest challenges, instead of thinking that this isn't working, it's just old paradigms collapsing and falling away. This is when you become the eye of the storm. You're calm, you're collected, you're focused. And that focus is on everything that invokes passion, excitement, and love within you. You're focused on the passion, you're focused on the excitement, you're focused on the love, while you're processing and conversing with any heavy emotions that want to flow through you and not get stuck in you, not be suppressed within you. Okay. So it's this dual capacity to be feeling and following everything that invokes the passion, excitement, and love within you while you're processing the heavy emotions. And I think, in short, this is the confusion that some people have. We can't just switch our old life off and switch a new life on when we're looking to change our entire life and change our business. We have to run, it's almost like you're running two lives concurrently for a while because we're always navigating all the emotions. Okay, emotions are just one spectrum. They're just one spectrum running heavy emotions. I refer to them as low frequency and the high vibe emotions as high frequency emotions. We want to be living a high frequency life, a high frequency lifestyle, but we're always navigating all the emotions, okay? And it's our job to process them, converse with them. We'll go into this shortly. All the emotions are valid. Every single emotion you feel is valid, and they all come back to self-value. Okay, so, but this will all make sense throughout this masterclass. In these unhealthy external attachments that we have a tendency to tangle in, we energetically attach our self-value to external outcomes or to circumstances outside of ourselves and outside of our control. And we allow this to define our identity, even though identity, whether that's identity of physical form or mental form, is an illusion. Identity is an illusion because it's all just labels and thought structures that we apply to, we're always trying to define who we are. Who am I? What am I? And it's a human limitation where we, instead of just accepting that we are consciousness, we want to apply labels and descriptions because we speak in words and we're always trying to define things. We're always trying to define what we are. So identity is an illusion. It's just us trying to label who and what we are. But when you know that you're just pure consciousness in your core frequency, in your core essence, when you know I am wealth, I am source, I am the creator observing myself, then your wealth creations don't start with an external attachment that doesn't exist, or the ghost parent we discussed. Your wealth creations start with a desire, and you, as source coded, are the observer of your desires, whether that's desire to grow, desire to expand and evolve, or a desire to experience more. Okay, everything starts with a desire in the realms, in the invisible realms of thought and emotion. In the quantum field, the observer, or you, are the entangled source through thoughts and emotion. So the moment you observe the desire through intention, you collapse the waveform into entanglement. There's no separation between you and the desire. So self-value, trust, certainty, and knowing lock the manifestation, and they don't need an external attachment. They only need you as the starlight architecture. Everything you're creating, all your desires, everything you desire to create only needs you. You are not dependent on any external person or situation or experience. It's all you. The level of attachment to others where you've given your power away will be directly related to the strength of the bond or the healthy attachment you had with your parents or adult caregivers as a young child when your brain memory templates were being created and your nervous system was being calibrated. The mother bond holds the emotional intelligence and nurture, or the or the feminine energetics, and the father bond holds the leadership and authority, or the masculine energetics. But they're both within us as this two-strand DNA braid, really tightly braided together. This is the yin-yang principle that the universe is created from, and 5D business structures also use this balance of energetics and this balance of masculine and feminine energy tightly braided together. 3D businesses, for example, rely primarily on the masculine structure of the business of the business structure, and completely ignore or don't even know that they exist, the feminine side. So, masculine holds the feminine energy. Masculine is the container, the support that holds the feminine energy. Okay, there are two strand braid, and one cannot exist without the other. Masculine on its own has nothing to hold. It's just an empty shell. And feminine on its own has nothing to contain it or to support it. There are two braid structure. This is why the planet is so fucked up with, with men and women. It's all part of the same universal imbalance. But that's not part of this program. We won't go into that. So you might be giving your power away to different people, your partner, your parents, siblings, friends, your boss. Consider where you're giving your power away, because when we're not really self-aware when it comes to our energy, we can be giving our power away to people every day, all sorts of people. So just consider who you're giving your power away to. Who do you not feel authentic with in your relationship, in your conversations, when you're speaking? Are you being really authentic? Or is there some kind of attachment that you're looking for there, some kind of external validation or authority? When we give our power away to others, it's out of fear and scarcity. We're sacrificing our own authenticity to maintain the attachment and the bond, but at the cost of our own truth, because we're not attached to ourselves in our core frequency. We've really forgotten who we are. We've forgotten that we're starlight. And again, this goes back to that inner child, that young child trying to be held by a ghost parent, or trying to attach to something that just isn't there. So this just gives that feeling of being lost, of not being grounded, of not being solid in our power. It all comes back to the root chakra, this feeling of not feeling safe on this planet. And giving away your power, it breeds anxiety and depression and stress. And this isn't because you're broken, it's because you're out of alignment with your sovereign baseline. It feels like overwhelm. And this is because your cortisol levels are too high. The heart races, the nervous system is overloaded with what feels like electric shocks surging around the body, just too much unchanneled energy. It's all energy, anxiety. When your nervous system is overloaded, you feel so on edge. Things make you jump easily. You're always worrying, you're always panicking. You just don't feel comfortable in your own body because there's too much undirected energy surging around the body. Your stomach flips. You can't sleep. You can't breathe properly. We're breathing into our chest instead of breathing into our stomachs. And we're just, there's so much tension. And ultimately, this energy crystallizes into the body as disease. So just really notice if this is happening to you, or where this is happening to you. It can manifest in so many different ways: headaches, migraines, um, stress-related illnesses. So just be very conscious and just make sure you're giving yourself maximum self-care, maximum self-love. if you're going through anything. Giving away your power might look like people pleasing or mimicking others to be like them and agreeing with people when you don't agree with them and, saying yes when you mean no and vice versa. It can look like not standing up for yourself and letting people cross your boundaries and just really not putting yourself first. And that low frequency emotion you're feeling that can feel like fear or frustration or anger when you're not putting yourself first and you're not speaking up for yourself and not standing up for yourself, this anger, this frustration is signaling you to move and to take action in some way because you can feel that you're being inauthentic. We sit in these low frequency emotions, pissed off with ourselves because we're not being authentic to ourselves. We're not living an authentic life. And these emotions, these heavy emotions, these low frequency emotions are conversing with us to tell us to move, to that you're not in alignment with your higher self. So for me, if I don't stand up for myself, or if I've gone into people pleasing mode or something, I'm really pissed off with myself. And I can feel this anger inside of me because I know I need to stand up for myself. I know I need to take some kind of action that is in alignment with my core frequency because currently the way I'm acting is not in alignment with my core frequency. And your higher self, your soul, will let you know, this is not, you're not in alignment. You're not being authentic with yourself. So I get this anger in me that rumbles until I do something about it. I can't sit in this anger until I really go and realign my energy, recalibrate with my higher self. So just be curious, pay attention to the emotions that flow through you every single day. If it feels painful or uncomfortable in these emotions, then process the frequency, process the emotion. What is the message? What's the lesson? Because our emotions are communicating with us all the time. I call emotions our higher intelligence guidance system or communication system. They're always there conversing with us. They're not just something that we experience. It's a conversation with your higher self. They're communicating with you. So really, what is the message that the emotion is trying to guide you through? What's the lesson where emotions really are like a compass? So if you're experiencing something in your life that you feel a heavy, low frequency emotion in relation to, you've just been given an opportunity to move away from that experience. If something's pissing you off or making you angry or, causing you to be frustrated, um, you're given the opportunity to move away from that situation or that experience or that person. Whereas on the other hand, if you're feeling really high frequency emotions, high vibe emotions, you've just been given the opportunity to move towards that person or that experience or that situation. Okay, so your emotions are literally a guidance compass guiding you all the time. But if you'll only stop in the present moment to listen and to converse and to communicate with your emotions, and then you get to strategize, take that emotion away, whether that's journaling, whether that's meditating, whether that's walking in nature or showering, but whatever it is that, puts you in that really still place, that really peaceful, um, just a really calm state where you're just spending time with you, communicate with that emotion, converse with it, okay, question it. And then once you've spent time with that emotion, because we don't dwell in our emotions, we don't dwell in our shit, so to speak. We converse with the emotion because it is intelligence, and then we decide, we execute and we move, we take action, okay? So emotions are like the contemplation, and then we decide and we take action, we move. Shift the thoughts and emotions in the energetic realm into the physical realm to impact the physical reality to change your life. So, thoughts and emotions are in the energetic realm, but because we live in a physical reality, we need to shift those thoughts and emotions and take action in the physical reality to change our lives, to change our physical life, okay? This is your call to take back power. And I know sometimes this is a lot to take in. So you get to listen to this masterclass 10 times if you need to, or more. Okay? Change your thoughts, change your life. The manifestation alignment is thought, emotion, action. Okay? Thought, emotion, action. Thought and emotion guide the movements and your need to take decisive action based on the emotional frequency of what that move or decision is. Giving away our power and being inauthentic eventually invokes all kinds of crazy, anxiety and depression and stress and all kinds of mental health challenges for us. And this is because they're linked to childhood trauma and we're living through coping mechanisms instead of through sovereign command. When we're living through coping mechanisms as a result of childhood trauma, we're being inauthentic, which means we're feeling frustrated and pissed off and stressed, and we're living a lie. And this constant stress, this constant elevation of our cortisol levels is what causes the stress, and then what causes the sicknesses, the disease, the illnesses, everything that most of us are familiar with, the weight problems, um the physical damage, impact. Self-value is everything as it pertains to your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health. It's everything, okay? Self-value is our currency, and it determines whether we're living in a scarcity or an abundance reality. But you are the currency. Frequency first, energy signature first. This is one of my favorite shifts because it changed my life knowing that I am the baseline frequency that commands the field. And my reality isn't created by anything but me and my commands, unless I'm attached to external influences, and my power is therefore circumstantial, not personal. Okay? It's okay to be influenced by people, but ultimately you choose, you decide through free will. This is when anything becomes possible, because when you're free from these external attachments, the external fear dissolves and you've got nothing to lose but the scarcity vibration. When you're consciously realigned with source, because it's your origin, you command through all wealth channels from the creator zone, and the unified field is infinite. Okay, we shift from this scarcity vision, this constricted, limited vision to, well, we don't even have a vision because we can't see it, to this infinite vision. Wealth channels are the level of sovereignty, portals of freedom open through your field. If you're emitting fear and scarcity through your broadcast, you'll attract something or someone in your reality to reflect fear and scarcity back to you in a survival reality. So if something in your reality is causing you to doubt yourself or is invoking fear within you, then simply ask yourself, where am I doubting myself? Because it's all a reflection. Where am I doubting myself? Where am I not believing in myself? Where am I attached to external outcomes and authorization? Where am I forgetting that I am the source of my wealth and money, not my employer, not my job, not my business, not my partner, not my whatever, me. I am the source of my wealth and money. I am the source. I am the wealth. My job, career, business is a wealth channel calibrated by my self-value that determines my currency. I can lose my job, I can lose my business, but it doesn't mean anything because I am wealth and money comes to me always, always. Okay? Go and write that down. When you lose a channel, when you lose a wealth channel, you don't lose the wealth because wealth is your frequency, not your form. And this means you can lose a job, you can lose a business, you can lose a relationship. It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't change your self-value. It doesn't change your level of self-value because you are the wealth. I am wealth. I am the creator. You just ask yourself, where do I need to recalibrate? Your self-value commands your wealth channels as direct extensions of your field, activated by your command. I am the command. I am sure. I am certainty. There's no space for hesitation when we're commanding the quantum field. If you're not commanding your wealth channels through self-value, then self-sabotage commands your scarcity channels. Okay, you're always commanding the field through your energy. But take note of the duality again, and that's self-value to self-sabotage. You're always commanding the quantum field through your energy in your manifestations. But whether you're in self-value or whether you're in self-sabotage is determined by you and your self-awareness. In my corporate career, I spent over a decade in number 2 positions attached to the external outcomes and people, waiting for external validation to authorize me and to see my worth until I could increase my levels of self-worth and wealth creation and self-belief. I was always, my self-belief was determined by whether other people believed in me, whether this was my parents or my partner, my boss, my friends. So my power was circumstantial, not personal. My power was always dependent on other people seeing my worth until I realized that the only person who mattered in seeing my worth or my value was me. Because if I didn't feel valuable, if I didn't know that I was valuable, then nobody else would either. Because we set the standard, we set the bar. So I had to raise the bar in my self-value for others to see my self-value because people treat us how we treat ourselves. We are the standard, we set the standard, and others respond. Everything is a frequency response. We go first, the universe responds. We go first, people respond. We go first, the market responds. We set the standard. We are the baseline frequency. Compliments from other people make us feel good, but I was always waiting for that external validation or authorization or compliments from somebody else until I knew I would feel in my power. Compliments make you feel good, but they must not validate you. So if someone says to you, wow, you're so intelligent, or you're so pretty, or you're so smart, instead of saying, really? You think so? We respond with, thank you. I know. And this is not ego. It's not ego. It's just fact. If someone says to you, wow, this dinner is great, you can confidently say, thank you. I know. It's just fact. It's nothing to do with ego or not really. You think so? Because we're certain because we're moving with that certainty and intention and completion in alignment with our highest destiny, our vision that is source coded with the maximum surety because it's source, it's original, it's unique. And so I was overlooked in my career for years and years until my self-value overflowed and flooded the channel, and until I claimed my authority. I literally spent decades. I'm just trying to think, actually. Yeah, probably a couple of decades in number two positions, always reporting into a director or the CEO or the head or the shareholder, always number two positions because I relied on that person to validate me. And I was protecting myself from, I was hiding behind this person. I would always have someone to authorize my work or approve my work. I never had that courage to stand up and lead myself. But all the while, I knew that this was not my role. I was not here. I was not born to be led. I was born to lead. And claiming my authority happened through this resistance, this resistance to the lie that I was feeling on a somatic level, that I was happy being in number two positions. I'm a pioneer, a trailblazer. I wasn't happy. I was pissed off, whether I could, whether I was conscious to it or not. I was just feeling safe in my comfort zone. But there's no growth or evolution in the field of predictability. There's no growth in comfort. It felt like a lie because I wasn't in my zone of genius. But my nervous system couldn't, at that time, it just couldn't hold the big energy that came with a big calling. And being seen triggered me into fight or flight. I'd been through so much trauma that I was blocked from my vision, and being seen was a threat. It made my nervous system just explode like on fire with electric, to a point I couldn't hold that energy. I couldn't hold that discomfort. It was too um it would push me into a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. My heart would just race, and my memory would go. When we're in fight or flight, we lose our memory. So every time I pushed myself into um a situation, presenting to a board, going live on social media, um, group speaking to large audiences, I would push myself into this panic attack mode where I couldn't think. I'd lose my memory. So I literally could not do it. And people say, just keep doing it, practice, practice, practice. But we need to practice from a small level. Okay, so we don't push our nervous systems into overdrive to the point of panic attack. And I've lost my memory that I couldn't possibly talk anyway. We just take small steps, and we attend to and nurture our nervous system small steps at a time. We don't just stretch something to its maximum capacity. We just stretch it slowly, gradually. With no vision and a nervous system electrifying me, and a coaching industry that said I wasn't ready, and that being an entrepreneur wasn't for me if I didn't know my vision within 48 hours of being in their programs, that I was a fraud, and that I couldn't be the front face of a brand if I didn't know my vision, because of course this impacted my offerings and my programs and my coaching and my entire business. Even though I knew in my heart I had so much to offer, I just couldn't see it all. I was just so blocked. So, my whole vision was distorted. I couldn't see. I knew that I had a big calling and a big vision. I just couldn't see it. I was just really blocked from it. And that was really frustrating. And, of course I was attached to external outcomes. But was I the only person in the world blocked from their vision, who fractured and disassociated under pressure and visibility? Fuck no. So I didn't give up. I knew I would not be the only person who was blocked from their vision and their mission in their business, and was also feeling this frustration, this pain, that we know we're here for a big calling. We know, it's not even that we chose the vision, it's that the vision chose us, the calling chose us. So I just didn't give up. I never gave up. I just made it part of my mission to show you beyond the illusion of the 3D matrix conditioning and generational trauma, and the Wealth Commander was born. This is Wealth Commander.